Last week, we were in the nation as one of the first campaigns to call for the full defunding of ICE. 7 or 8 other campaigns simultaneously joined that call as well. And just this week, the spokesperson for ICE resigned with a scathing letter in San Francisco as this became national news. Our opponent, who spent 20 years being one of the prominent anti-vaccine folks in Congress, this Monday said that she changed her position and believes now that vaccines do not cause autism. My question is, what empirical study in the last 4 or 5 months came out to change her position? I'm just guessing that study would be an insurgent campaign. So we are making change before we've even arrived in Washington. So regular political campaigns start with the idea that there are some voters who vote and other people that just don't. What they do is say, all right, well, we know these people are voting, so let's engage them. Knock on their doors and make phone calls and get them to turn out. And these other people, well, you know what, they're low propensity voters. Young people or minorities or marginalized communities, immigrants, they're prohibitively expensive to reach out to and get them to vote. Well, I think that's kind of offensive. No one should be prohibitively too expensive to deserve representation. So on this campaign, we're premising on connecting with and contacting as many people as we can, every single New Yorker that we can touch, and get them to vote if we do our jobs right.
Okay, so today I'm completely focused on this office space. I have to say that our Wednesday happy hours are our greatest opportunity to bring in meaningful volunteer signups and really recruiting people for future events as well.
So we're truly running a different kind of campaign here. And the reason is because we find that so many people are checked out of politics because politics doesn't speak to them, doesn't engage new people. And so we're saying here, how do we get new people to register to vote, to show up, to volunteer, and be part of the process? And we're seeing it every day right now, right? That people are marching, people are resisting, students are walking out and protesting about guns. What we want to do is capture some of that energy, all of that energy, and say, let's change the political system for real. And so one of the examples of how different we're doing this is our campaign office itself. We actually took over a former bar. This is a social justice bar that donated 100% of its proceeds to Planned Parenthood, ACLU, NRDC, and other orgs like that. This space is at Cooper Square, right across the street from Cooper Union and down the road from NYU. Hundreds and hundreds of people on a daily basis walk by this office, stop in, register to vote, sign up to volunteer, want to learn more. And the reason is because they've never seen a campaign office that's like this. What we're doing is using this space as a community space. Anyone who wants to have a happy hour, have an event, to fundraiser, we're opening this up to progressive groups and campaigns like ours because it's really hard to find space in New York. We had 150 people at our office opening happy hour 2 Wednesdays ago, and I even had a reporter say he's never seen an office opening like this. The average age of this group is like 30 years old. And so what we're doing is saying, look, we're tired of sitting on the sidelines and waiting our turn, and it's time for a new generation of people to take leadership. One of the great congresswomen of New York's 12th Congressional District, Shirley Chisholm, once said, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. That's what we're doing. Is this video? Is this video content? Oh man. I'm qualified to run for Congress because this is what it's supposed to be. People like me who have done a lot of different things in their lives. I'm an activist, I'm an attorney, I'm a first-generation American, I'm a proud business owner. I have a master's in public policy. I worked for Obama. I teach business ethics at NYU, which we desperately need in government. I just haven't held elected office yet, but that's something we're going to change this November. Hi there, how are you? I'm Suraj Patel. Running for Congress. So the 12th district encompasses parts of Queens, Brooklyn, and Manhattan, and I actually think that so much of this part of the district is forgotten by the incumbent. So what we're doing right now is walking around Long Island City and talking to business owners. So question, I'm running for Congress. Yeah, totally. And asking them to support us. And people start seeing it and they start getting curious about what it is and they look us up and they find all our cool stuff online. Okay. That's how you win elections. Let's go.
Hi, good afternoon, guys. We have a special guest today talking to you. His name is Suraj Patel. He's a candidate for Congress in New York 12, this district right here.
Hi, y'all. How you doing? Good afternoon. I'm sorry to interrupt your lunch. I'm sure this happens to you all the time. I'm a candidate for Congress here in New York's 12th Congressional District. I'm a Democrat, and I just wanted to get to know you all and hear about what you care about, and then see if we can just have a couple conversations. So I'm gonna walk around for a second, and then I'll come back up and say a few words. How are you?
Hi, nice to meet you, Tula.
Good to meet you. What's your name?
Tula.
Tula.
Yes,
nice
I'm
to
great.
meet you.
100%.
100% great. Okay, 100% Indian. There's something really, really special about New York, and that is that it is a city defined by aspiration. It's defined by people doing bold and remarkable things. Well, I'm a first-time candidate because we need new people, new energy, new ideas, new blood. All right, very nice to meet you. Thank you. Make sure you're registered and ready to vote. June 26th.
June 26th.
Yep. I'm running for Congress because we need bold, fierce, progressive fighters in Congress. That we need people to advocate for the future, and for so many years, Congress has been failing at its job. In these districts in New York City and places like that are significantly more progressive than the rest of the country, we ought to be leading intellectually to create for the Democratic Party and for America a vision for the future that gives them something to hope for and to vote for. And it's not being done right now. It's no longer okay to be complacent. It's no longer good enough to be good enough. We need to, have leaders and fighters in these seats. I'm gonna give people something to vote for.
So I grew up in this district. I grew up in the Upper East Side, and I have been for my entire life represented by Carolyn Maloney since I've lived in New York. I've long been of the belief that if you could quantify news literacy, the New York 12th would be the first in the country. And yet that doesn't translate to awareness or appreciation for politics at the congressional level or below.
Coming from like a brand and advertising background, just saw so much low-hanging fruit in terms of the way that campaigns right now engage audiences and how much they could be doing better to get younger audiences involved, people who are more digitally savvy, people who respond well to art and design and culture.
The last election was actually the first election that I was actively a participant. I had just become a U.S. citizen, and I was very disappointed on who won, so I definitely took the year to do as much good as I could because that was the only way that I felt good. So I volunteered for UNICEF, Planned Parenthood, in their advocacy because I wanted to know more about behind the scenes and how it all works. And what I realized is that policy is where change happens.
Politics should be about who we include as opposed to who we exclude. And as someone who's a newcomer to the world of politics beyond just voting on voting day, I've found that the vocabulary we use in politics is largely excluding people who, don't necessarily spend every single day in policy or don't spend every single day in matters that are being voted upon. But at the same time, these policy measures and these things that we're voting on completely apply to every single person in this country.
We talk a lot about this 8% voter turnout for this district in primaries. I think that's not the fault of anybody, but really the politicians. This is a district that's not just the Upper East Side. This district is composed of lots of neighborhoods with lots of very different people. We need somebody that's gonna care about all of those people, advocate for all of those people. I want somebody that's gonna fight for something.
So right now we're going to do one of my favorite parts of the week. Every week, oh no. Hang on. This is one of my favorite parts of the week. Every week, anyone can go to my website and click Meet Suraj. And there you can book me, no matter who you are, for a coffee or a phone call on Wednesday afternoons for 2 hours. So we're gonna go to the Bean across the street is where we do these, the coffee shop, and meet some great New Yorkers. Suraj, good to meet you. It's pretty evident where cool. All right, where are you at? Sorry.
All right, so I was just telling him a little bit about myself.
Yeah, tell me what's going on.
I'm a grad student at the New School.
At what?
The New School.
Okay, awesome.
So,
For what?
studying international affairs.
This is a really interesting year just in terms of a tipping point. So there's a an entire generation that's more awake, active, and aware than ever before. They're thinking about these things for the first time. They're realizing that they do have a voice and that their voice matters, and they can actually be the ones to demand change. I think we're going to see all over the country this year a whole new electorate of people who are voting, who are feeling like it's a badge of honor to be civically engaged. So we're going to see a massive boost in turnout everywhere.
Get all of your attention, please. My name is Sam. I'm the campaign manager around here. Thank you all for coming to our happy hour and to our wonderful office space and celebrating Pi Day.
Events matter to build community because it's not enough to just have everything digital. People still need human touch, and you can sell a movement, an idea, better in person. Once they meet Suraj, they understand why we're all doing this.
I used the joke, let's not be irrational, about 25 times today, and it always elicits about one laugh. But no, this is a really important day for us in Science Week, and especially because last night we did find out about Stephen Hawking. This is a man who spent his entire life searching for the truth about the boundary conditions of the universe. He comes to the conclusion that what can be more special than there is no boundary, and that is why he says there should be no boundaries to human endeavor. On that note, I will say one last thing for Science is Real Week. We started talking about how communities that are marginalized in our society, minorities, immigrants, women, frankly, LGBTQ individuals and all that, we always keep forgetting, or I always did up until a couple weeks ago when someone told me to not forget the disabled, which happen to be the most marginalized, largest minority in America community that we have. And so remember that Dr. Stephen Hawking in a prior era would not have been able to make it to yesterday. And so let's make sure we always continue to fight for our disabled just as much as we do about every other marginalized community we talk about. Yeah, thank you guys. One of the most remarkable things that I think about in this moment, as we see an entire generation activated, aware, awake, and out there rising to its responsibilities as citizens, is what do like Alexander Hamilton, John Marshall, Aaron Burr, these guys have in common? Every single one of them was under the age of 21 when the Declaration of Independence was signed. The most remarkable things in human history happen when a new generation of people say, you know what, we're no longer satisfied with the status quo, that enough is enough, that complacency no longer has a place here, and that we are going to change the circumstances that we inherited. So let's change Congress, and let's change our leadership. Thank you.